Welcome to part 8 of this video series on finding meaning in life. The first week, we focused more on feeling lost, on lacking connection, on the void that you can find yourself in when you don't have meaning, and really exploring how that feels and my personal experience with that. This next week, I want to focus a little bit more on the search for meaning, how I'm trying to find meaning in my own life, the actions I'm taking, and the areas I'm trying to actively seek purpose, seek meaning, and the search will be the framing of this week in general. If you've missed the previous videos, don't worry, we're going to dive in a very usable way, and this video will be a standalone topic as well as alongside the other topics I've done on finding meaning in this series. So, how to find meaning, the search for meaning, where do you begin? And this is a very tough topic to start, but I want to start it with the framing of we're all trying to find meaning. We're all trying to find meaning in some way. Some of us have that naturally in terms of we're very committed to our jobs, we find them very purposeful, or our career paths. Some of us find it with our families, our relationships, a lot of purpose and meaning there. And some of us find that just with life itself. We're very connected to the life we live. And others are struggling to find that meaning. We're struggling to go, what is meaningful? What actually provides that joy, that purpose, that drive to my life? And I want this video to be for those people who are on the search for meaning, like myself, and where to begin that search. So if I use myself as an example, and I look at the life I've lived and where I've tried to seek meaning, seek purpose, the first avenue has always been in a sense of belonging to others, a sense of connection. This starts generally with your family, immediate family. Then you go to your friend groups, trying to fit in at school, and then belonging to a community or your family or friend groups where you feel that sense of connection. And if I look at myself, growing up, I had a very tough period from probably 14 to 16, 17, where I didn't feel that connection to my peer group, didn't feel I had close friends. I did have friends at that time, but I never felt like I belonged to that group. I never felt like that was my core connection. And this gave me a lot of pain. Obviously, I was a teenager, growing up, trying to figure things out. But it wasn't until I got to university at 18 where I found the people who are more similar to me. I felt that connection to a group. I felt that sense of belonging, outside the family network and along with my peers and people I like to spend time with. And that was a very meaningful time in my life. I remember feeling like very satisfied, very happy for large parts of that because I found that sense of belonging. And I feel like this is the first place where maybe we can lose meaning when we haven't got connection to others. I've done other videos as well talking about maybe playing life on one player mode, going down your own pursuits, and maybe not feeling that connection to others and that depth of connection to those around you at times. And that can definitely feel like you can struggle with meaning if you're not feeling that you belong to something, or belong to a group, or belong to people that is somewhat beyond yourself. So that's the first avenue. Second avenue, I'd say, is purpose itself. And meaning and purpose often go hand in hand. You say finding meaning, you say finding purpose, and you interchange those words often. But I think purpose for me means more means the direction, like what you're doing is leading somewhere. So the purpose of your life could be anything. It could be to be a good father, it could be to be a good friend, it could be to produce something in the world that contributes to others. It could be a role model to your kids. It could be anything that feels purposeful to you. But the purpose generally is, the way I'm trying to define it, is something that drives you forward, that you feel like you can show up, add value, and it's meaningful. So the purpose is kind of what makes it meaningful. And yeah, I read a book recently called The Power of Meaning, and it covers these topics I'm talking about today. So the first one, belonging; second one, that purpose; and the other two I've borrowed from that book, and I'll show my examples of this. But yeah, I think the purpose one is maybe the hardest. It's the easiest when you've got it, and it's the hardest one to find, at least it is for me, because it's one where if you knew what your purpose was, you would just go, right? Just full speed ahead, and there wouldn't be any confusion. But how do you find what your purpose is? And this is where you start to have to really think about what you enjoy, what you can create that's valuable for the world, and yeah, kind of maybe what you can get paid for as well if you want to create a long-term kind of career out of being purpose-driven. So yeah, I think for me, I'm still trying to figure out which vehicle is going to be best for me to contribute the most, where I feel most fulfilled, but that also creates value for others. So yeah, the search for purpose is something I'll come back to this week. I think this week covering these topics, purpose and how to find that, would be a very big topic. But for now, I'll just go kind of the broad ideas, and then we'll go deeper as we go through them. So the next part, so there's two of them done. The third one is storytelling. All right, so the third one from this book, The Power of Meaning, we tell stories, and we're always trying to tell stories to see where we fit in the world and where we fit into life. What's our role? What's our role? And we're always telling stories and trying to piece together, why does it matter? If there's no story, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, you need to have something around what you're doing that creates a story for yourself. And you need to feel like you're the hero of your story. I say the hero because imagine you're living in a story of your life, which we all are, but you don't feel like you're the lead character. You feel like a bit part player. You feel like, yeah, you're just on the sidelines. You're never going to feel fully purposeful. You're never going to feel full connection because you don't even feel like you're the star of your own movie or your own life. So I think that one, you've really got to think of, like, I need to be the lead character of the story that I'm living in my own mind. So when I'm talking about story here, I'm talking about like the inner narrative that you're living in. All right. So if someone goes, "Hey, how are things going? How's this part of your life doing? How are you doing here?" You will answer that question with a story. Yeah, things are going great. I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm doing this at the moment. You might relay the roles you're playing. You might relay the achievements you're going for, the goals that you're currently pursuing, but you will tell a story around your life. And the more connected to that story you are, the more inspired you are by that story, the more it's going to drive forward action. And for me, I feel like the story I really got involved in the most was my poker player story. That was the one I really embedded that. I took on the identity of being a poker player, and I took on the story of, I'm a low stakes poker player, and I want to play high stakes, and I'm going to level up my character to get to high stakes. Full story mode, full computer game, full me being the character in this, my own life, but I felt fully engaged. I felt a lot of meaning, a lot of purpose, a lot of drive, because the story was very clear. It was very clear where I want to get to. I could picture the end of the story and going, this is going to be so good when I'm playing high stakes and I've proved to myself I'm good enough. So if we can find a story to bet ourselves into, that can create a lot of meaning. That's where, again, I haven't currently got the right story. It doesn't feel like the story I'm currently in is quite the fit. I know it's not like a perfect fit of a story. The story's always malleable, but I feel like you know you're in the right story when you're inspired. Often you're excited about the future. You're excited about where it's going. You don't know what's coming next, but you think you're on the right path and you're taking actions. That, for me, signifies the story you're telling yourself and the story you're living in is a good one for you. It's a good one for you at this stage of your life. And for me, I'm struggling to find that connection to the story for this phase. Again, I'll go into, as this week goes on, the danger of trying to manufacture stories and how much we can create a story with the mind and how much a story flows organically. I'll talk about that topic because I think it's a powerful and important topic to talk about. But that's for another video. The main thing for this one is to get the areas. So we've covered belonging, we've covered purpose, and we've covered storytelling. And then the fourth one is transcendence, to transcend the self. All right, how do you get past your own ego and living for you? And this is generally where you can go many paths from the transcendence lens, but basically it's beyond doing things for selfish reasons. You start to do things for others. It can be the world at large, it can be for people around you. You become less selfish to satisfy your own needs, and you're thinking how you can contribute to others. And this goes into my framework of contribution. But I think transcendence is a good word as long as you frame it correctly. I think some people think transcendence and they instantly think religion, or they think spiritual, or they think beyond themselves, and that definitely is part of it in terms of it's an avenue you can take. You can go beyond yourself by devoting yourself to a higher power, a higher good, the universe, whatever you believe in. But you can also go beyond yourself by thinking of how your life is almost in service of others, other causes, things around you. And I feel like for me, that could be a real, real big one in terms of finding that beyond the self. All right, this is where if you look at a lot of spirituality, a lot of religions, a lot of them end up here. They end up in transcendence, beyond the self. I think Buddhist philosophy is the one I gravitate towards the most, and that is all about having like non-self, non-attachment to self, non-attachment to any narratives. And then from there, in theory, you should connect with your true self and then just basically express that in the world, which will often lead to things that are kind, that are caring, that are helping others around you, because you're less bothered about yourself. You've got more time and energy to put into life around you, which will often lead to fruitful actions for those around you and meaningful contributions. So yeah, if I look at it for myself, I feel like I'm probably lacking in all four of these areas. I feel like if you had any of the four I've talked about at a very strong level, you are very connected to it. I feel like you wouldn't feel a lack. I feel like you wouldn't feel a lack of meaning in your life if you felt one of the four was very strong. Whether it's the belonging, you have a super strong group around you, super high connections. Whether it's purpose, you're going out in the world, you're trying to make things happen, and you feel like that's going to have high value. Whether you think it's storytelling, you live in a story where it's like, I'm the hero and I'm leveling up my character and I'm becoming this better version of myself in this journey, or whether it's transcendence and you're living in a narrative that isn't even about you. It's just about helping others. It's about connection to something greater than yourself, or a contribution that isn't self-centered. Any of those four, I feel like, could be paths. I'm always thinking like, oh, there's four paths that we can go down. But me, I'm quite a holistic thinker, so I don't really go for like a model is the only way. Like I don't think there's a rigid structure. You need to do this to get to this outcome. I feel like as an individual, you're trying to navigate your path and there's options available. You're trying to choose between each of them. So for me, I'm trying to kind of choose all four paths. How can I have more belonging? How can I have more purpose? How can I live in a better story? And how can I transcend myself and my self-narrative to feel more of a bigger purpose? And I think, at least for me, that feels like it aligns better rather than going all in on one path. And I feel like this is where, in the past, I've kind of went all in on one of the paths. I haven't really holistically pieced these together. So yeah, as the search goes on this week, I'll be trying to share some insights or share some things I'm trying to do to find more meaning in these areas, and yeah, make it more practical in terms of things I think are working, things that are maybe I'm having challenges with. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys are also on your search for meaning. Let me know which of the four areas you feel like is lacking for you, and also if anything's working well for you in terms of how you're currently finding meaning. I'd love to hear from you in the comments with the things that are working. That'd be really good. And yeah, any suggestions as well for videos, topics would be much appreciated, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.